Like, what the fuck? You're just like... You just have this look of like...
What the hell are you doing with this sled?
Wait a minute. This is... Hi everyone, this is Ray. Some of you might know me as Tiki With Ray, and today I'm with my friend Kevin Crossman, aka Ultimate Mai-Tai, and we are at the Devil's Reef in Tacoma, Washington. But we're going to talk about Tiki in Honolulu, which is kind of an interesting thing because for most people when they think of Tiki, they think of, oh, that's Hawaii. Well, not necessarily, but let's talk about it. So you just came back from a trip.
Yep.
To Oahu, and you spent some time in Honolulu. Well, is there anything tiki going on over there, or is it all like beach bars?
Well, it's interesting because Honolulu, because it's been a big city for 50, 60, 70 years, there is a mix of the old, and now there's a whole bunch of really cool new tiki places that are coming to Honolulu based on the whole craft cocktail trend, which is great.
So what you're saying is, like, before, there, like, a lot of the places that were there, the drinks weren't very good, or was like that island Mai-Tai kind of thing going on?
Well, the island Mai-Tai is obviously very popular in Hawaii, and there's places like the old hotels, like the Royal Hawaiian, the Halekulani, all those hotels that are along the beach, they serve a Hawaiian Mai-Tai. But a lot of them, like the Royal Hawaiian, at their Mai-Tai bar, they have a whole series of Mai-Tais on their menu. A mango Mai-Tai, a 44 Mai-Tai, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's great that you can try all these different like variants and samples or whatever. And the experience there, I'm a sucker for Waikiki and Diamond Head and that whole experience. And the Royal Hawaiian, the Halekulani, right there on the beach is great. Now, it's not really tiki, though, because there's not really tikis around, but it's definitely Hawaiian.
Yeah.
And the thing about Honolulu is that there actually are tiki bars in Honolulu that you don't, or Waikiki especially, that you don't really hear about. They don't get posted on Tiki Central. What
is the difference between Honolulu and Waikiki? Is Waikiki in Honolulu? Is it a part of it, or is it another?
Yeah, Waikiki is like a section within Honolulu.
Okay.
So the Waikiki Beach area, that was the original touristy area, with the Moana Hotel, the Royal Hawaiian Hotel, all the big hotels, touristy, very touristy down there. And then there's downtown Honolulu, which has its own charm and neighborhoods and everything else.
What is downtown Honolulu like? Does it feel like an American city kind of, or is it its own thing?
It totally does. I mean, it's
skyscrapers.
It's skyscrapers, condos, office buildings. Now it's got a Hawaiian flair. You got things like the Iolani Palace, where you've got some of the historical aspects of Hawaii there.
Yeah.
And then they have their Chinatown area, which is pretty cool too, because
there is a Chinatown.
Yeah, it definitely has a little bit of a historical vibe. Buildings that are 2 or 3 stories rather than the big giant high rises, and so that has its own different charm and so forth.
Where is the marketplace?
The International Marketplace that Don the Beachcomber started back in the 50s.
I heard that the original one is gone.
Yes, it's right there in the heart of downtown Waikiki.
Yeah.
And they redid it a couple years ago, and it's basically an upscale mall now, next to all the other upscale malls that are in Waikiki.
It's an upscale mall.
But like you enter the International Marketplace right off of the main strip there in Waikiki, and there's a Tesla dealership with Tesla cars in the mall.
Okay.
But there's some cool elements still. They have a treehouse with a little sort of display about what Don the Beachcomber did back in the day.
Is it the original treehouse that was there before?
It's not the original treehouse, but the fact that they ripped everything out, I mean, they kept the banyan trees and all that, but the fact that they still have a tribute to Don the Beachcomber with a lot of historical material, like you'd see in a museum, is great.
Can you explain to the audience what the original island marketplace was
Well, it was right next to the original John the Beachcomber in Waikiki,
Yeah.
and it was intended to be a very touristy thing. I mean, when Don came over to Hawaii in the late 40s, there wasn't actually tiki stuff there because all that tiki stuff had been sort of wiped out by the missionaries, earlier and all that. And so he built this place that when people came to Hawaii, they expected to see something exotic, and he built it. He did luau's, he had his on the Beachcomber restaurant, everything else. In the marketplace, I mean, I never experienced it back in the 50s and 60s, but by the time I experienced it in the late 90s, it's a little sketchy. I mean, it was a bunch of little vendors. Trader Vic's had been there and was already dead by the time that I had gone there. And it was a lot of like little shops and things, which maybe in the 50s and 60s felt sort of charming and exotic, but certainly by the last 10 years felt very like cheesy,
I gotcha. But what you're saying is like back then, like maybe that's somewhere where you would have went to like actually buy like fruit or like
exotic
souvenirs.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Polynesia,
right?
Paraphernalia and stuff like that.
Sure.
And it's a shame. I mean, it's a shame how things go, and now it just turns into a mall. And let me guess, in this mall, is it just a mall with stores? Nothing really.
It is a mall. Now there's a couple nice things like this treehouse that they have for Don. There's a statue for Don Ho.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. And the Mina Bird is a tiki bar inside their food court.
Oh yeah.
Great drinks there. So it's not an immersive tiki bar like Devil's Reef or some of these places where you're like real tiki bars, but hey man, in the food court, great place to go and have a good drink is all right by me.
Yeah, that's the thing that you keep on forgetting as we're talking about it. Like right now we're in Tacoma, and it's been gray out, so you need an escape. But when you're in Hawaii, you're in Hawaii. You don't need to escape. But let's talk about the tiki bars that are in Honolulu. And you said, well, let's start with the old ones. If someone was going to go to Honolulu, what's the first one they should go to?
Well, La Mariana is the oldest tiki bar in Honolulu. It's from the 50s.
Okay.
They've incorporated a lot of the decor and things from some of the other places like Trader Vic's and Don the Beachcomber, which have shut down. And they still have a very solid tiki bar and restaurant. Their Hawaiian Mai-Tai is actually really good. It was my favorite Hawaiian Mai-Tai in Hawaii on my trip. And they do live music. I saw Intoxica there playing live, which was awesome. And great service. And they were in a lease situation where they might have lost their lease, but they've just renewed for another 20 years. So it's totally off the beaten path. You would never run across it. Our Lyft drivers were saying, I don't even know what's over here, but they're dropping me off. And it was everyone was having a great time at La Mariana. And it's a really good tiki bar. People should definitely seek it out when they are in Honolulu.
Yeah. Now, if I understand, there used to be a Don the Beachcomber location there in Honolulu. Don's only location.
Right. It was right by the International Marketplace.
And then when did that shut down, do you know? Or
I'm not sure the date, but
that's not
long gone for sure.
Yeah. So after if you're after La Mariana, where would you go next?
Well, so there's all these bars that are along the beach, these hotel bars in Waikiki, like the Halekulani, which I had a great Mai-Tai at, and great service, very sort of like white tablecloth type service. And then in the sort of heart of Waikiki, there's a lot of these very sketchy, touristy tiki bars where they have these gigantic tikis, but they're made out of plastic, or a big giant pina colada made out of fiberglass, things like that.
Yeah.
And a couple of them were really terrible. I mean, terrible. Cuckoo coconuts, the lava tube, which had this sort of like faux, like you're inside a volcano vibe. I did go to Arnold's, which is a little bit of a beach bar, but has all kinds of really good tikis in there. Yeah. And their Mai-Tai, $7.
$7
was actually pretty good.
Damn, you can't.
So yeah, so you got a lot of that stuff in Waikiki, appealing to.
And what was the name of the place with the $7 Mai-Tai?
Arnold's
Beach
bar. So you got a lot of that stuff in Waikiki. A lot of these cheap places, people looking to get drunk because it's downtown,
And the reality is,
Waikiki.
I bet you a lot of people go in there. That's all they care about. Anyway.
Exactly. Now, I mentioned Chinatown. There's a great place in Chinatown called the Skull and Crown Trading Company. And
Skull and Crown.
It's a craft cocktail tiki bar that incorporates elements of tiki with real tikis and all that. But it's almost like as if there was a bar 100 years ago with all the little, accoutrements and things that had just lived on through that whole period. So it feels very Hawaiian, but still has a very tiki bar vibe with great cocktails. My best Mai-Tai was at Skull and Crown Trading Company.
And this is in Chinatown.
In Chinatown in Honolulu.
Wow.
They have a tiki that's 70 years old, carved out of wood. They recovered and put in here. They do the special effects with the thunder and lightning and the great music and everything, and their service was outstanding. So there are places in Honolulu that are, riding this craft cocktail aesthetic and service orientation and serve great drinks.
That's awesome. Where else? Any other places that are worth checking out?
So the Halekulani Mai-Tai I thought was really interesting because it was sort of a hybrid between your traditional 44 Mai-Tai and your traditional pineapple juice and orange juice Hawaiian Mai-Tai. So it has a little bit more lime juice, but it still has that dark rum float. So it looks like the Hawaiian Mai-Tai, but it had flavor profile more like a 44. And actually it was really great. So that was a kind of an interesting find in that it sort of bridged both sides of the Mai-Tai divide, so to speak.
A lot of these places, I'm guessing with the Skull and Crown place, there's probably a pretty decent menu. But for a lot of these other places, say you don't want a Mai-Tai, what about other drinks? Is there other drinks, or is it literally like a handful? Like, can you get a zombie there? Can you get a painkiller? Can you get a 3 dots and a dash? Or is it mostly like for a lot of these places, you're getting a Mai-Tai?
You're going to get blue Hawaiians.
Blue Hawaiian.
You're going to get lava flows and that sort of stuff. Gotcha. Unless you're in a real craft cocktail place, you're not going to get a zombie. A lot of places will do these interesting variants on the Mai-Tai or other cocktails. Like we went to Monkey Pod, supposedly the best Mai-Tai. They have this like foam.
No, they look like foam. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like it at all, but a lot of people love it. So lots of different choices. But yeah, your tiki bars are super oriented around these sort of touristy style drinks. Yeah. Mai-Tais in the like.
One last question when it comes to Honolulu and Waikiki. The people that are at these places, the customers, mostly tourists? Is there any locals?
Well, it's interesting because obviously in Waikiki it's a very touristy area, so that is totally touristy. But when we went to Skull and Crown, it felt a lot like your neighborhood bar. Okay. The people that came in knew the owners, they were saying hi. There were people from the local production of Phantom of the Opera, which is playing around the corner.
Oh, wow.
They came afterwards and were hanging out. So that felt a lot more organic as like a neighborhood bar. And Skull and Crown is interesting because it's not such a big space, but they have a patio out back where they have like an outdoor patio. Yeah. So there's plenty of room to go there and join up with people or whatever.
Dude, that's awesome. So it sounds to me like the two main ones to hit is La Mariana Sailing Club, Skull and Crown, and potentially Arnold's if you got time.
Yeah. Now there's one more that I didn't talk to you about.
Okay.
So there is a brewery which started out as a microbrewery, and they totally decorated it for World War II. It's very much in that sort of Pearl Harbor vibe. And they have a building next door that is a World War II museum.
Wow.
So they have it's very typical World War II museum with displays and uniforms and all these kinds of things. And if you go all the way to the back, there's a staircase that leads upstairs, and it is a speakeasy upstairs.
No way.
The Wiki Wacky Woo Speakeasy. And you have
hold on, what's that again?
Wiki Wacky Woo.
Wiki Wacky Woo.
Tropical bar. And you literally have to do a certain knock on the door, and you have to do a certain signal with your hands, in order to be able to get in there. And I'm not going to spoil it, but the internet might be your friend.
And it's not this.
No, no. A famous John the Beachcomber drink might be your friend, no?
Yeah. But with that, we're just gonna leave it there. I mean, let's let our guests figure out what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Figure it out. Aloha, mahalo, and all that other crap. I need another drink. Mine's almost out.
Thanks for having me, Ray.
You didn't even... You're nursing that thing.
I'm nursing it.
That you went to make it seem like you had a drink, and
That's exactly what I did. Poured a little water in there.
why don't you just get another drink?
Because I don't want to be fall down drunk.
What, are you drinking more tonight? You had one drink today. 2.
On camera. I don't want to be fall down drunk, Ray.
I'll tell you what, Ray. When I went to Honolulu, I was those goddamn tiki bars are shit. Yeah. I tell you what, if I get the real ultimate Mai-Tai. Tell you what, Ray. They all suck. There is no ultimate Mai-Tai. It's a fucking pipe dream. Hey gang, this is Tiki with Ray, and I just want to say thank you very much for checking out my video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to see more episodes, click on the subscribe button. And if you liked the video, give it a like. That would mean a lot to me. And if you have any comments or suggestions, please leave a comment in the comment section below.